Hello, there is an ongoing project in my living room at the moment, so I will be joining you with my houseplants back here to talk about a lovely winter warmer, which should be a great rumternative and brandyternative and agaveternative for those of you who are a little bit overwhelmed by the price increases in those categories. I invite you to consider Scotch single malt whiskey. Today we've got Benromach. Now, full disclosure, these are some barrel picks by Binny's. I work for Binny's. I sell wine for them. I honestly don't think the spirits folks care what I have to say about their products, but just be aware, like, ultimately the same folks are writing my paycheck. So these are, Binny's is a little bit beloved in the Scotch community for its picks. I think we do good stuff. All right, Benromach. I've done Benromach reviews before. I will link them up down below. What to say? So yeah, I've always had a dilemma reviewing Binny's picks because on the one hand, I think a lot of them are really darn good. But on the other hand, there's that kind of potential conflict of interest. So I kind of try to wait until most of them have moved before I do one of these reviews. And I have sat on these damn things for a long time, waiting to talk about them. A long time. But it seems like we're almost clearing them out. So now seems like a good time. And there are plenty of sister casks of these things out there, if these sound interesting to you. All right. So Benromach. Speyside Distillery, owned by Gordon and MacPhail. Way up in the north. Basically, go any further north and you were in the sea. And it's very small, and they rehabbed the place about 2 decades ago. And when I've talked to them at festivals and things, they've said it is the project was to try to revive an old school Speyside styles, particularly the kind that was produced during the war. Now, there weren't a lot of distilleries operating during the war, and fuel was limited at the time. The only fuel they had to dry their malted barley, in fact, was peat. So you had a lot of peated Speyside whiskey. You had a lot of peated Macallan. And Gordon MacPhail bought a lot of peated Macallan. They seem to have loved the stuff. So it's my hunch that this is really built. This is the current Benromach distillery is really designed to kind of be, a little bit of a homage to wartime Macallan. Anyways, let's taste these and try them out. One is bourbon barrel, first fill. One is sherry hogshead, first fill. 11-year-old versus 9-year-old. All right, let's see what we got. First glass. This is the bourbon barrel. 56.2% alcohol by volume. It is barrel number 595, distilled in 2010. These were actually bottled quite like almost 10 months apart. I don't know what the deal is with that. Anyways, let's see what we got here. Well, it's extremely good. First off, and I hate to say this for a number of reasons, but I cannot not think of Springbank. In this, like you maybe that's just because you hand me any kind of malt which is grungy and lightly peated, where peat is just a part of the ensemble rather than the main event, and I'm going to think Springbank. But yeah, there it is. So I'm hoping to draw a little bit more attention to Benromach. I'm really hoping not to draw enormous excessive attention to Benromach. All right, sorry. Let me get some details on the table. Oatmeal, vanilla oatmeal, if that is a thing. But it's just also just a lot of like nuttiness to this. Just mixed nutshells. But also it's like as long as we're talking shells, seashells. There is a lot of coastal minerality to this. Like, just crush up some seashells, get a little sea breeze in there. Yeah, I don't actually know if this whiskey is matured near the coast or what, but there's a lot of just like, yeah, coastal character to this. Vanilla fudge, not chocolate fudge, vanilla fudge. It's that bourbon barrel character creeping through. It's just such a heavy, interesting distillate. Fresh grass. Tea, Earl Grey tea, so that little aromatic orangey note. Something, what is it? Something reminds me of like an old lamp, like the old lamp oil. I forget the name of it. There's a name. Lemon curd. And there's a fruitiness which is hard to nail down. It's like somewhere in between like nectarine and Williams pear, something like that. And then just these hints of peat and slight like barnyardiness, so dirt and wet animals running around. But it's kind of all on the edges. Like there's lots and lots of little things going on here. It's just excellent. Like it's a good malt, especially for an 11-year-old. There's a lot on the palate. It's just too good. Like, it's just too good. This is Roger Federer playing in his prime. Like Are there maybe other malts out there? Yes, but the poise and the balance and the classical form. It's the form on this that is getting me. It arrives like so decadent and vanilla'd and desserty and almost fruity, and then it gets just so dry and austere and savory on the back end. Oh, this is good. Remember, I do have a bias. These people are paying me, but I do genuinely think this is fantastic whiskey. It's not even that expensive. Like, we were selling this for like $80. The second one is a first fill sherry cask. Find me the equivalent 9-year-old first fill sherry cask at cask strength for 80 bones. Binny's marketing pitch ended. Let me get some notes on the It's good, and it nails that classical form that I sometimes talk about in spirits. Not everything needs to do that, but when something does it well, oh man. All right, let's get some notes. Vanilla. There's some apple here. There's more apple here than on the palate. Orchard fruit. That kind of nectarine-y, peary thing. Orange peel, lemon peel, lots of citrus peel happening. Ash. What kind of ash? Mix of ashes. Some campfire, a little bit of cigar. No, not cigar. Like pipe tobacco ash, like burley Virginia flake ash. That lamp oil thing again, but also like when you put like oil in a pan, like sunflower oil in a pan, and you heat it up, and you kind of leave it on too long. That kind of aroma and character. There's a little bit of that going on the palate. Earl Grey again. The nutshells and the seashells, the crushed seashells, all of those are back. and just the maritime character of this sea breeze, and very subtle peat. Just that little hint kind of creeping up in the development, and kind of it reminds me a little bit of like the very, 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 very lightly peated Bruichladdich. So not the Port Charlottes. There was like a period right when Bruichladdich opened where they were putting out a couple of series of very lightly peated whiskeys. This kind of reminds me of that. But yeah, it's the minerality and the seaside character. It's a little bit like a Bordeaux Blanc or something. Sorry, a wine nerd here. I like the notes. They're very much like, classic, just bourbon cask, straight to the distillate with a little bit of vanilla, playing accompaniment. But what's getting me isn't the notes. It is the form, like just the way this delivers what it has. So I'm very curious to see what this does with water. Actually, I already know because I have notes here. 1, 2, 3, 4. That's only 56, so it maybe 4.5. 4.5. All right, moving on to the one that I would have thought would have been more popular, but actually it's the bourbon barrel that sold faster. The first fill sherry hogshead. This is bottled at 60.6%. It is cask number 719, but again, plenty of sister casks out there. Distilled 2011, 9 years old. This was actually bottled first. Other interesting stuff. Yeah, that's most of what you're looking at here. So, first fill sherry 9-year-old Benromach is what this is. On the nose. I mean, it's very sherried. Like if you like your sherry cask, and especially like your old school sherry cask, you will probably like this. The downside of that is it's less overtly Benromach-y, at least at first. Yeah, initially on the nose, I'm not getting all those little kind of ensemble complexities that were happening in the bourbon cask. What am I getting? I am getting figs. I am getting Swisher Sweets, Swisher Sweet Smoke, dried cherries, prunes. But again, this is old school sherry, so there's like some beef broth happening, some Cuban cigars. And bergamot again. Not really Earl Grey tea, not yet, anyways. But definitely some bergamot, kind of floral aromatic orange. But then that kind of seaside minerality, the crushed sea shells, starts to creep in. Vanilla fudge again. Some mustard seeds, of all things. That's something I usually associate with Tobermory, but here it is in Benromach. And in the sherry cask, no less. Yeah, definite kind of mustardy character. Lamp oil, that lamp oil thing again. That little hint of barnyard. The very subtle peat. White pepper. Yeah. And actually even a little bit of wax. I don't want to say that too loudly because the Kleinlich collectors will come running, but there's some wax in here. It's a nice nose. Initially, at least, it's leaving me not as excited as the bourbon cask one, but that might just because I'm a huge nerd of these very purest malts. But let's see. On the palate. Nope, 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 nope. It is on the palate. It is almost at the same level as the 595 here. It's pretty darn close. The sense I get here is imagine like a very old dog who's a little bit damp, rolling around in a lot of dried fruit. That's kind of what I'm getting. Figs, cherry, little apricot, prunes, black pepper, and a lot of wet dog. But nice. Ooh. The mustard seed is also here on the palate. Beef bouillon. Old books. So kind of an old leather thing. That kind of burning sunflower oil note, but nice. The lamp oil thing. Intense nuttiness. What kind of nuttiness? Hell if I know. Mixed nuttiness. Just burned, crushed nutshells in my mouth. And the seashell thing. That is definitely in play as well. So seaside coastal minerality. It is not as much of a like hardcore purist malt as the bourbon barrel, but I don't think it's actually like a step back from that. Like, because the sherry is old school and impeccable and is integrating with the malt beautifully. It's proper like old school Maduro cigars, not like the crappy $7 Maduro cigars that like just taste like gross, I don't know, sugary crap. I don't even know. It tastes like cheap Maduro cigar. This is like the good stuff you pay like $25 for. That kind of Maduro cigar, and it's been aged properly. That barnyardy peat, that's there. Orange peel. And a little touch of vanilla. Just like ding, right on top. I know I say this a lot with Benromach, but old school. Old school is kind of the phrase I need to use to talk about this malt. It just, like nothing, even with the sherry cask, it's not like the sherry nest that you latch onto the most initially. It's like this, kind of mix of different flavors interacting with each other. It's very cerebral. It's very complex. This will take 5 squirts. Let's see. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. I haven't even gone into the second round. I haven't even started scoring, and I'm already happy with this. All right. Moving back to the bourbon cask, the 595. I am very curious to see what water does to the form on this, because again, I love the development. I adored the development on this whiskey, having it neat. So let's see what happens on the nose. It actually, so I remember when I reviewed the Benromach peat smoke, I remember thinking it was weirdly Lowland-like. And now that I've added water to this, it's kind of whispering in the same direction. There's more of like a vanilla thing and more of a citrus thing. I mean, it's still, it's less Lowlandy than the peat smoke version was. It still has that cerebral energy to it. Other than that, there's not a whole lot of development, but I don't care. Like I'm kind of in love with this. Let's see what happens on the palate. Ooh. Mostly the same with water. Um, it does add a very nice kind of bitter, almost citrus pith component, like a grapefruit pith kind of thing, like a bitterness on the back end. Otherwise, very similar. Doesn't uh, doesn't really lose anything with water, but it changes. I would probably have this neat, honestly. Whatever way you but I'm not going to say like it loses a whole lot with water. I don't think it does. It just kind of gets a little bit more citrusy and a little bit more vanilla'd, both on the nose and the palate. And that's fine. I would have this neat though. Yeah, very good whiskey. 89 points. 89 points, and I know I'm biased because they're Binny's picks, but there you go. That's my score. And I'm going to leave that out there along with the information about my employment and let you do with it as you will. And I'm very curious to see what water did to this as well. All right, this is back in the sherry cask, the 719 on the nose. So I wasn't getting as much of that kind of savory, wet dog kind of character on the nose initially. Now it's kind of coming through. It's really not like a wet dog. It smells like a seasoned pot roast that's been dipped in Oloroso or something. It smells nice. You can see the sun is coming out behind me because it looks like it's just a flood of white coming through the windows. Yeah, awesome. Very just savory, but delicious. Old school. Old school is, I keep coming back to that term. Let's see what happens on the palate. Ooh. Out of nowhere, this actually sweetens up a little bit. There's a little bit more black pepper as well. Gloriously sweetens up. Ooh. But it feels like it's not the sherry that's bringing the sweet. It feels like it's the malt that's bringing the sweetness. There is a malted milk ball component to this. And it's kind of marrying to the dried fruit and the barnyardy, like, ashy, peaty thing. Damn it. Okay, one more time. I'm trying to decide if I how to score this. Oh, it's good. It's really good. You know what? No, same score. 89 points. This sherry cask felt like it was chasing the bourbon cask this entire time, but at the end, that kind of extra malted milk ball kind of thrown in the mix with everything else. No, they're both 89s. Really both fantastic whiskeys. I continue to be impressed by what Benromach is doing. Yeah, so go hunt down whatever remains of these bottles or sister casks as you can find them. Yeah, that's what I got. Thanks for watching and cheers.